I feel the need for speed. Ow!
So, I absolutely love old school action movies. Whether it be Terminator 2, or Aliens, or Predator, these movies have had a special influence on my childhood. And so of course, I absolutely loved Top Gun Maverick, and I think it is one of the greatest Hollywood sequels ever made. While it isn't quite at the level of Terminator 2 or The Empire Strikes Back, much like Denis Villeneuve's fantastic Blade Runner sequel, Maverick gets very close to cinematic perfection. And honestly, I wasn't sure if modern Hollywood was even still capable of making an awesome film in such an old school style, combining death-defying practical stunts and effects with a compelling and poignant emotional story that centers around a rebellious, unapologetically masculine hero. Quite simply, this film is full of testosterone, full of heart, and is unafraid of being patriotic. And this is sadly very much an anomaly in modern big-budget cinema. In many ways, in my opinion, Top Gun Maverick actually far surpasses even the original, and not just in the technical sense. The story has much more emotional depth, and I love how they further developed Maverick's character in this film. In the new movie, Cruise's character is still the confident, ultra-skilled fighter ace, with a disregard for authority that we remember from the first film. However, he definitely has much more of an aura of maturity in this film, and you can tell that he knows he is getting older and is becoming more aware of his own mortality, and is also becoming more reflective upon his own successes, mistakes, and regrets. The increased complexity and depth of Maverick's character is one of the greatest and underrated strengths of the new film, and is a testament to the commitment of Cruise and the director Joseph Kosinski. And as I reflected on the emotional depth and richness of the film, I realized that there are actually a lot of meaningful lessons woven into the narrative, as well as the journeys and relationships of the main characters, lessons that are not necessarily obvious on the surface. Thus, I'm going to share what I found to be the top 6 most meaningful and poignant life lessons that can be drawn from Maverick's character arc and the overall story. Also, quick warning, there will be some spoilers. The first lesson is to focus on your purpose, passion, and craft. Deep down, every young man wants to grow up to be a hero. That's why stories like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and Top Gun all resonate so much with young men across the globe. But how does one actually become a hero? Of course, there are many traits that are common in heroes of classic stories across all cultures and time periods, and I'm not going to explore all of them here, but one of the most important ones is that a hero is highly skilled in a particular endeavor and then takes action using those skills for the greater good. In the original Star Wars trilogy, this is the journey of Luke Skywalker learning the skills and wisdom to become a Jedi Knight. In the original Top Gun, it is the story of Maverick honing his skills to reach his potential as a fighter pilot. In the sequel, we find out that Maverick has continued to build his skill and experience as a pilot in the 30 years in between films, and has thus evolved into the best living pilot in the Navy, and thus the only person capable of leading the daring mission at the climax of the film. For Maverick, flying is his greatest passion in life, and his character has followed that passion relentlessly throughout his entire life, and it is shown throughout the film that this has given him immense joy, satisfaction, and of course, enables him to be the hero that saves the world at the end of the film. While the character of Maverick has certainly made his mistakes in life, especially in regard to his relationships, dedicating himself to his passion was the biggest thing he got right during his life journey. Though your passion is most likely not to become a Top Gun pilot, I believe that everyone was born with very specific passions and talents. Sadly, in general, the world does not encourage these passions and instead actually tries to trap most people into monotonous, soul-killing cubicle jobs. You can see this phenomenon reflected in Maverick's story, as it is implied that his commanding officers have repeatedly tried to ground him, but Maverick, with a little help from his buddy Iceman, has always fought through these obstacles and managed to remain in the air, where he feels truly alive. Finding your passion, mission, and purpose is probably the most important thing you will ever do. It is different for every person. For Maverick, it was to become a fighter pilot. For me, I have a story that is quite different than most. I spent the majority of my adult life training to become a physician, and I became highly skilled in the field of interventional pain medicine. However, my greatest dream since I was a young child was to become a filmmaker and a writer, and it's giving me immense joy to work towards that goal now. So I would say that I'm very fortunate to have the opportunity to live out 2 passions and careers during this lifetime. For you, your passion might be to become an engineer, a programmer, a teacher, a parent, an artist, an architect, a mechanic, a musician. These are all noble endeavors, and it's different for every single human being, as we are all unique souls. And while the world often does not make it easy to pursue that passion, it is so important to do so, because connecting with your own passion will make you more confident, more powerful, and also give you a strong sense of direction in life, not to mention provide you with immense joy and contentment on a spiritual level. Before the dangerous final mission, Warlock says an important line to Maverick, telling him, "You're where you belong." In many ways, I think we all have this powerful yearning to figure out where we're supposed to be, where we experience a gut-level rightness. However, pretty much from childhood, for most people, the world is constantly trying to pressure you to become something you aren't. Most people live out their entire lives this way, trapped by the expectations of others. But that's not where your destiny is. In many ways, only your heart knows where that is. And so, just like Maverick, by finding your passion, figuring out why the Creator put you on this earth, dedicating yourself to it, and then mastering your craft, you too can become a hero in your own right. In this film, the powerful heart of the story is the relationship between Maverick and Rooster. Rooster is the son of Maverick's best friend and co-pilot who tragically died in the first film. As such, in many ways, Maverick has become a surrogate father figure for Rooster, though the relationship has become very tumultuous due to poor communication between them. I love this story arc, and I found it very emotionally moving. And in many ways, it reminded me of the relationship between me and my own dad. As strong men often have some difficulty communicating what they're feeling, even though deep down you know they care a lot. And I think I'm definitely not the only one, and that a lot of guys around the world felt similarly. In so many ways, the Maverick Rooster story arc just resonated with men from all over the globe on a very deep-seated, almost spiritual level. I think this is because young men, regardless of their background, culture, or where they came from, absolutely need mentors in order to thrive. It's often a very tough and harsh world out there, and when you're a young man trying to navigate it, it can get really confusing and daunting. Most people are not looking out for you, and so it means everything to have a trustworthy, experienced man show you the ropes and guide you along on your journey. And thus, one of the biggest problems in Western society is the lack of positive, masculine role models. Sadly, there are more fatherless homes than ever before. Furthermore, even in works of fiction, whereas prior generations had strong heroes like Luke Skywalker and Rocky to aspire towards, there really is a dearth of such heroes in today's modern media. By the same token, I think that older men also have a deep-seated need to share what they've learned with the next generation. I think that this is something unique to the human spirit, that older men do not want all the wisdom and experience they've gained from the trials and tribulations of their lives to go to waste, and have a strong desire to see the next generation do even better than they did. While human nature is often far from perfect, I truly believe that this is one of the most noble aspects of humanity, to want to see the next generation of young people thrive and to push civilization to even higher levels. Thus, a lesson we can all learn from Maverick and Rooster's relationship is that young men should do their best to seek out great mentors, and that older men must strive to become great mentors. The third lesson is to build something meaningful with the right partner. Top Gun Maverick also features a pretty good love story as well between Maverick and Penny Benjamin, the Admiral's daughter that Goose mentioned in the first film. They have great chemistry on screen, and so their subplot is quite believable and adds a lot to the movie overall. I'm really glad they chose to portray Penny as a high-quality partner for Maverick who complements him very well. And I say that she's high quality not just because she's an attractive woman, but because her character supports and encourages Maverick. There's a pivotal time in the film when the Admirals want to strip Maverick of his teaching duties and take over his mission. Maverick is close to giving up, but it's Penny who has his back and tells him to stand up for his pilots and for his rightful place as their team leader. She's not an overbearing Karen who's constantly on his case and berating him, telling him to quit his perilous job as a fighter pilot and just get a boring job flying for Delta Airlines. Maverick already has to deal with the most dangerous mission in naval history, in addition to hard-ass flag officers all over his case. So on the home front, he needs to have someone loyal in his corner, and it's great to see how Penny is there for him in this way. And this doesn't just go for one gender, as I think that in general, it's so vital for both men and women to build meaningful relationships with partners who support their dreams. So along with this, the film also strongly implies that he regrets breaking Penny's heart in the past and not building something meaningful with her sooner. Of course, everything works out in the end, and the two literally fly off into the sunset together at the conclusion of the film. But that being said, it's shown that Maverick definitely has some regrets at this stage of his life. One of them, of course, was not building a stronger relationship with Rooster, and another was that he lost time with Penny. For guys who are very alpha, like Maverick, there's definitely a strong temptation to live life as a player. And I think for a limited time, that's definitely fine, and in some ways very natural. In my own life, when I was living in New York City for a few years, I was actually kind of a little bit of a player for a few years. But even though I did have a lot of fun, I did end up inadvertently hurting the feelings of a couple of very nice girls. And it's something that I do regret now, and so I can relate to Maverick's character in that way. So in the long term, I do think that most men want to build something meaningful with a great woman. I think that modern media usually provides very poor examples in regards to this, as most of the characters they promote are either weaklings who get stuck in the friend zone, or Dan Bilzerian on the other hand. But there's a third option that's rarely shown in the modern mainstream media, and that is to develop yourself into your best and strongest man you can be, and then build something beautiful with a great girl who backs you up. Lesson 4. Don't care about others' opinions, but play the game from time to time. Maverick's call sign has always been very fitting because, well, he's a maverick. He has never cared much for authority or politics, and his concern has always been to become the best pilot he can be and to complete the mission at hand. I can also relate to this a lot as well from my many years working in medicine. After I finished my fellowship, I practiced for 4 years in a corporate healthcare system, and the whole time, my one and only concern was my patients and making sure they were well taken care of. And I pretty much had complete disregard for corporate politics and dealing with insurance companies and the like, almost to a comical level. Several of my nurses and patients are subscribed to this channel, and I'm sure that they would laugh if they watched this because they know exactly what I'm talking about. Even though being a maverick and a rebel can sometimes get you into trouble and can make life a little tougher sometimes, it definitely does have its benefits. The main one being, it makes you very free. You don't have to fret about every little thing you say or do, and you don't have to go around walking on eggshells all the time. You can just be yourself, and it feels great. On the other hand, Vice Admiral Simpson, or John Hamm's character, is really the opposite of Maverick in this regard. He's a goody two-shoes and does everything by the book, and is very good at playing politics. And there are definitely advantages to this approach, as it will lead to higher and faster advancement within government and corporate bureaucratic institutions. This is why at the same age, Simpson is an admiral and Maverick is still a captain. However, there are problems with doing everything by the book and not thinking outside the box. The Top Gun pilots rail against Admiral Simpson's much more conservative mission plan, which will put their team in the path of multiple surface-to-air missile batteries and also lead them into a perilous dogfight with the 5th-generation fighters of their enemy. Also, having a perfect reputation can be very difficult to maintain. Even one mistake, and it would ruin the image that he has built up over many decades. There are many politicians who are like this, who build up a spotless reputation over the years, going to all the right schools and always saying what everyone wants to hear, and yet it only takes one scandal to destroy it all. On the other hand, Maverick doesn't have to be perfect because no one expects him to be perfect. In your own life, I think it's best to strike a balance between Maverick and Admiral Simpson's approach. If you're a more free-spirited kind of guy, like I am, first of all, it's probably best to eventually build your own business that frees you from stifling bureaucratic institutions. Also, in general, there's a lot of freedom in being like Maverick and not caring what others think, but from time to time, it's beneficial to play the game, just to reduce hassles and to enable you to achieve your own specific objectives more easily. The 5th lesson is the power of instinct and intuition. One of Maverick's most vital lessons for Rooster is to not think, but to act on instinct, which is very similar to Obi-Wan Kenobi's teachings to Luke Skywalker.
Trust your instincts. Don't think, just do. You think up there, you're dead. Believe me.
And every man who has ever been through high-pressure situations will tell you that this is absolutely true. There were many times during my internship and residency when I could just sense that something was off about a patient, even before any objective findings showed up in lab results and even in vital signs, and hence was able to preemptively get patients the proper diagnostic tests or sent to the ICU. The older you get as a man, the more you will realize the limits of conscious, logical thinking, which is really the only mode of thinking promoted and developed in the academic realm. Relying on this gut-level instinct and intuition was not only advocated by Maverick, but in the real world was also advocated by great men such as Steve Jobs, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Nikola Tesla, and Albert Einstein. In my own life, I have always regretted ignoring my intuition and have never regretted following it. Now keep in mind that this does not mean acting on frivolous or reactive emotions. Intuition is far, far more subtle and almost is like the whisper of God and your higher self. In many ways, instinct and intuition are a combination of subconscious and spiritual logic and operate far more efficiently and more effectively than conscious reasoning. And of course, this is especially useful in high-pressure situations, whether it be an aerial dogfight or whatever difficult challenges you may be facing in your own life. Lesson 6 is to cherish time with loved ones, because you will eventually lose people in life. Another really great aspect of the film was how they portray the relationship between Maverick and his former rival, Iceman. The two have become close friends over the decades, and it is shown that Iceman is battling throat cancer during the film, mirroring Val Kilmer's real-life condition. When you're a young man just taking your first steps into adulthood, full of confidence and bravado, you never really stop and think that the people around you will not always be there, and that as you age, you'll eventually lose some of the people close to you. In my own life, this is something I've already experienced, even just by my mid-30s. One of my favorite English teachers from high school was a gentleman named Mr. Nesbitt, who was always just a great guy and loved by all of his students. I'll always remember that he was one of the few people during my teen years who always encouraged me to continue writing my novels and screenplays. When I moved back to my hometown after I finished my pain medicine fellowship, he sent me a Facebook message congratulating me on finishing my medical training and telling me that he was very proud of me. I always meant to get coffee or lunch with him sometime, but life gets busy and it's easy to put these things off. And he passed away less than a year later, and I never had that chance. And this is definitely a regret of mine. The time you have with loved ones is not infinite in this lifetime. In fact, with many family members and close friends, after a certain point in your life, you may only get to see them a few times a year, and thus that time is very precious and is meant to be cherished. Maverick and Iceman were at each other's throats during the first movie because they both wanted to win the title of Best Top Gun Pilot. But in the end, that rivalry turned out to be trivial in the grand scheme of things, and the only thing that mattered was their camaraderie and friendship. It's definitely a great reminder to not let small things or disputes get in the way of you cherishing time with the most important people in your life. One more bonus lesson. As you get older, you can still kick serious butt. However, your margin for error gets smaller. In many ways, Top Gun very much parallels Tom Cruise's career in real life. In both scenarios, he is getting older, almost 60, and there are many high-powered people around him pushing him to hang it up. And yet, even at this age, he's still the best at what he does, and Hollywood still needs Cruise the same way the Navy still needs Maverick. Ben Franklin has a famous quote that goes, "Most men die at 25, but are buried at 75. And if you look around you, this is often very true for many. And this is not at all a judgmental statement, because there's a reason for this. Life is really tough for everyone. Every person encounters a lot of setbacks, failures, and just general BS in life. It could be breakups and divorces, getting laid off, illnesses, betrayals, and just general disappointments. It's enough to break most men, unfortunately, and this is why most give up on their dreams at a relatively early age. This is another aspect of what makes Maverick so compelling. He's not depicted as invincible. He's starting to feel his age. He's made his mistakes. He took his hits. He has many regrets, yet he keeps pushing forward and moving forward. In many ways, Tom Cruise himself is even more impressive because he's doing the exact same thing, except in real life. He's an actor I respect a lot for this exact reason. It's not easy to keep kicking butt as the years go on, but if anything, Cruise shows that this is very much possible. As you get older, most of society is going to tell you that you're over the hill and you just need to hang it up and just wait around to die. But this is complete BS. Tom Cruise and other badass men are still kicking butt in their later years. Yes, your margin for error decreases as you age. Yes, you need more discipline and structure. Yes, you need to be more cautious, but it can be done. So when you watch Tom Cruise pulling 9 Gs in an F-18 at almost 60 years old in Top Gun Maverick, it's a reminder to everyone that age in many ways, is just a number, and that however old you are, you need to keep believing in your goals and dreams, and you need to believe that many more accomplishments, victories, and great experiences are still ahead of you. Thank you for watching, everyone.
So cry tonight, but don't you let go of my hand. You can cry every last tear. I won't leave till I understand. Promise me, just hold my hand.